So I did a video recently about why Roman Reigns should retain his title at WrestleMania, and now I wanted to talk about why Cody Rhodes should actually be the one who wins. Because one of my favorite aspects of this rivalry is that both men could believably, realistically win at WrestleMania. When we're talking about Cody Rhodes, I think the first thing that comes to mind as to why he should win, why he should be the guy to pin Roman for those titles, is just from a fan perspective. Cody seems like the total package right now. He's got a badass entrance. He's got a great nickname, American Nightmare. Come on, that just sounds so cool. I think he's got a great move set. He's this combination of, like, he's got a couple of, sort of high flyer ish moves. He's got the disaster kick. He's got the Cody cutter. Those are very cool moves. They look really good on TV. They look good when the person taking the move does a good job of selling it. He's got a great finisher. I think the Crossroads has always been a good finisher. Again, sometimes depends who's taking the Crossroads, and he's sort of turned it into the Attitude Adjustment where he has to do it like 6 times in order to pin somebody. But I do think it's still a really, really good looking move. And Cody also just sort of has the look. He looks like the guy. And it's been such a long road, no pun intended, for this guy to get to where he is now, where he is at the top of the mountain. This is Cody's world now. He's a main eventer. WWE sought him out. They wanted to bring him back. This is a guy that they just didn't care about when he was with them for way less money. And then he went out, got super popular, and they wanted him back. And it feels like money right now. Comes out, looks good in a suit. He cuts great promos. It just, his matches are really, really good. The crowd loves him. It feels like this is the guy. And I think also on that point, like, how many times have we heard all that exact same stuff? Like, oh, this guy's selling merch. This guy's getting great crowd reactions, puts on good matches. But WWE doesn't care because it wasn't the plan. Like, they're not the ones that wanted this person to get over, whether it's Daniel Bryan, obviously, like, one of the most famous, but then we even had, like, Kofi Kingston most recently. Like, it just, Rusev Day is just always a special place in my heart for Rusev Day. I loved that entrance so much. They even put it in the 2K games. That was so cool. It was only in 2K19, but man, it was so good. But it feels like everything's finally lining up because Cody Rhodes is getting all these great reactions, putting on good matches, crowd loves him, and WWE is the reason he's at the top of the card right now. They put him there, they spent a bunch of money, they're blowing a lot of money on extra pyro for literally every single entrance he makes. WrestleMania is probably going to blow the stadium up with so much pyro. It's going to look amazing. But it does feel like it's all lining up. And I think they've done a good job, sort of. I mean, I'm old school. I like some of these rivalries where the two guys don't touch until the match. It makes the match feel like an even bigger spectacle because you're seeing something that you have not seen before, right? Aside from this match already being a fresh matchup, it's like the first time these two will be in the ring, mano a mano, and it's going to be electric. That the stadium is going to be so hyped for this match, and you can feel it. You can feel the fans getting excited. I'm getting excited. I've been paying attention to this Bloodline story since the beginning, and so if Roman loses, it's got to be big. It's got to be a big deal. This is not a normal title change. This isn't a transitional champion sort of thing. This is the biggest heel in the company in recent memory, who's also the top undisputed champion of the company, and he has not been pinned in like 4 years. So it's gotta be big, and it's WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes, feels like the new John Cena, not just because he wins all the time, but Cody really does feel like that baby face that WWE has been trying to find, even sort of maybe ignoring the ones that the fans were picking, but from WWE's perspective of wanting their guy, this guy that they can mold into the face of the company, who does all the press, cuts all the promos, who goes on all the talk shows. Like, Cody feels like that guy, and it feels like he wants to be that guy. Sort of reminds me of The Miz, like several years ago when The Miz was putting in all this work to like become the top guy in the company. He was doing all the talk shows and everything, and he really worked for it. And it feels like Cody, is welcoming this responsibility that it feels like WWE wants to put on him, and he does believably seem like a guy that could beat Roman. I think what's going to be interesting is that Roman has been doing story matches, and there isn't as much story in this match as there has been in some of his more recent matches, whether it was Sammy, whether it was the Elimination Chamber. He didn't really have a story with Logan Paul, but it was a good match. But he had obviously crazy story with Jey Uso and even Edge and Daniel Bryan. There's a lot there. Even John Cena. Roman has had a lot of very high-profile title defenses. But it does feel like Cody is high profile enough. Like, it feels like he's been built up to by both himself and WWE to feel like a John Cena, to feel like a guy who could pin Roman Reigns. And even as I say that, it's like kind of crazy to think about, because when somebody goes so long without being pinned, it really feels like it's just not possible. Like, Roman feels like one of those bosses who has like 18 health bars, and you get through 17 of them, but it doesn't matter because he beats you in the end anyway, and you got to start over. And it really does feel like he is the ultimate boss. He's got the crazy boss music. He's got like a whole squad now, like 5 other people that come down with him to the ring. It's really been built up so well. And I remember Clash at the Castle. I remember people being disappointed or mad even that Drew McIntyre didn't win the titles on that night. And I thought in the moment, I thought it was the right decision. And then, that was without knowing really where they were headed with the bloodline stuff, but I thought it was the right call. And if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have Cody Roman. We wouldn't have this spectacle of a main event, like a real main event. Cody and Roman are two guys that really feel main event, heavyweight matchup, final match of the night, grand finale of WrestleMania. It really feels like a classic WWE main event. I don't know how else to say it. And it feels like Cody should be the guy. If you weren't going to do Sammy, and I can't really see Jey Uso being Universal Champion, I could see him beating Roman in a non-title match where Roman's not champion anymore. But it seems like if you're going to go that route, then Cody should be the guy that takes the titles. And also because they have teased a new championship belt. And like, Cody's an old school guy. Triple H is an old school guy. They obviously want a belt that is not just a giant letter W in the middle, which I don't actually think looks that bad. I think the WWE title currently looks fine. I don't really mind it. I'm obviously a fan of big gold. I would love for them to bring that belt back. I don't think it's going to happen because they want some sort of branding, but they are working on a new title, and I could totally see debuting that title with Cody Rhodes, the guy who brought back the old school Intercontinental Championship. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Cody Rhodes had some input, or at least had a little bit of a sneak peek of what this belt might look like, because it's a big deal if you're, swapping out the title that Roman's been holding for a very long time. I also want to say Roman's only been the undisputed champion for a year. Like, I hear about this 1,000 days as champion stuff. Like, he just won the other belt last year at WrestleMania. Like, he's been Universal Champion for a really long time, but he hasn't been undisputed champion for that long. I mean, a year in the wrestling world, I guess, is a long time. But the way that they're playing it up as if he's been champion forever is like, well, yeah, because now there's only really one set of belts, or one belt, maybe 2 belts, not really sure. But it's only been a year. Like, he hasn't been undisputed champion for that long. I do wonder if Cody winning, he would sort of do the babyface thing of vacating one of the belts, and then Triple H gets to hold one of his famous tournaments, crowns a new champion. Because I miss the dual champions. I miss Raw and SmackDown each having a champion. I don't know, call me old school, or I liked that. I liked seeing guys multiple guys get to be the top guy at the same time. Also, you have 2 women's titles. So you have a SmackDown women's champion and a Raw women's champion, but then you only have 1 men's championship, like 1 main, high card main event men's championship. Weird. It's kind of, how did we get here? Like, you didn't unify the women's titles. I don't know. That's a separate video, but I do think there's a very good chance Cody wins, and I think it would make sense. I think that Cody deserves it. I think that of the guys Roman has faced over this time, Cody, you could probably argue, is the one who deserves it the most, to actually be the one who beats him. And I hope that these two have a match that lives up to how hyped I am to see this match happen.